Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to document the process of creating the setup for our little experiment about SQL injections. In the end of this video I'm going to have two routes, one for known value and the second one for unknown value, that we will use in order to practice our new knowledge that we are learning in this series. In this video I'm going to use NodeJS with common JS syntax, and we are using Sequelize as our ORM for a Postgres SQL database. Let's start. Here I have an empty folder that is called SQL project. First of all, I want to start npm project. I will use npm init. I don't care about all this stuff, just make a package.json for me. As you can see, I have a package.json. Now I want to install something called Express. Express is a web framework that is very useful when you are dealing with the HTTP requests. Let's install it. Great. Now I want to install something called NodeMan. NodeMan is a package that makes our life much easier. Regularly, when you are developing your server, you make a lot of changes. Every time you make a change, you need to stop the server and to start the server all over again. With NodeMan, it does it for you, and with every change, it restarts your server without any. You don't have to do anything about it. We are going to see it in this video. I want to install NodeMan with this flag save dev, because I want to install NodeMan only our development environment and not in our production. Let's see. Let's check our package.json. Now we have Express as a dependency and we have NodeMan as a dev dependency. Great. Now I want to install Sqlize. In order to install Sqlize, I entered to their website. This is their documentation. Here I have the command. Please be aware that nowadays you don't have to use the save flag because in the current versions of Node, the save flag is already built in. But we just want to copy it. It may take several seconds. But until it finishes, I want to talk about the driver we need to install. After we install the Sequelize package, we need to install the specific driver for our database. I'm going to work with the Postgres.js, so I want to install this one. I'll take this command. Great. And install it. Great. Now let's see. I have Sequelize, I have Express, I have NodeMan. Now I want to use the NodeMan. In order to use the NodeMan, I'm going to change this script to start, and I'm going to use not this NodeMan src index.js. This is the file that is going to start our server, and we'll see, we will use it later. After the installation part, I want to create our server. In order to do that, first of all, I want to create src folder, and in this folder, I will create the app.js file. In this file, I'm going to import Express, acquire Express. That's great, and I will make an instance of it, Express. And of course, I will use module exports and will export my app. This is my app. After we created an app, I want to create a function that is going to connect to my Postgres SQL database using Sequelize. In order to do that, I'm going to create initdb.js file, and this function is going to be async, and we are going to use the Sequelize documentation in order to to connect to our database. Here we have a few options for connecting to our database. I prefer the old one, this. Let me copy and paste, and here let's beautify the file. Great. Now I want to use my database is called my tests, my passport. Postgres database come with the Postgres database user by default, and also the passport. And now the host is localhost, and my dialect is, of course, Postgres. Let's remove. Great. Now we have this Sequelize. Let's do something like that. I don't want it to be const. Let me define it here. Sequelize here. Now I have the initDB, and after we are creating a new Sequelize instance, I want to console log connected to the database. Great. In this file, I also want to expose the Sequelize instance, because in our handlers, we want to connect to the database. But how we will connect to the database? We need this instance. So I will expose something called get Sequelize. This is a function. This is a function, as I said, and I'm going to return Sequelize. And this file is going to export. I will return initDB and get Sequelize. And that's it. We have the initDB function, and we have the get Sequelize function as well. Before we continue to our index file, I noticed that we didn't import the Sequelize function here. So let's go back to the documentation and copy the require. Great. Now we have this Sequelize function, and now initDB is going to work. Postgres and Postgres, that's great. Let's create the index.js file. Great. First of all, I want to import initDB require initDB from our file initDB. I want to start it, and then I want to use the then and catch syntax. Under the then, this code is going to be executed if the initDB is going to be successful. First of all, I want to use console log successfully connected to the DB, and after that I want to import the app, require app, and to start it, app listen under port. I need a port here. Let's define the port outside. I want 305 app listen port, and now I need a callback that is going to be called if the application could listen. I want to console log server is running. Great. But what happens if the initDB function fails? In this case, we need to add the catch syntax, and we want to console log could not connect to the DB. That's great. Now let me beautify it for you. Beautify file. Now we have the initDB, we have the then. If the then were logging that we connected successfully, we require app, and we are starting our server. If it doesn't work, we are going to console to the console that we could not connect to the database. Now let's use our nodeman script that we created here, npm start, that is going to run our server with nodeman. npm start. Great. Let's see what happened. it connected to the database, and the server is running. Now I want to show you why NodeMan is so useful. Let's say I want to change this log to be database and not DB. Now I save it, and as you can see, NodeMan restarts my server without me doing that. It is very useful and it saves a lot of time. Now we want to define our user model. In order to do that, I just went to the Sequelize documentation and copied this model definition. Here we define user model with two columns, first name and gender. Here we can see that the first name is going to be a string and we don't allow it to be null, and gender is going to be a string. After that, we are going to use the function sync with the option alter true. This sync function will make sure every time we are running the NodeMan, every time we are starting the server all over again, it will align the database to the configuration we have here. For example, if we are going to add another column, it is going to be added every time we run the server. So, after we defined our user model and we already have our node server running, we want to create a new post route that is going to receive attributes from the user and will fetch only the relevant entities from our database. Before we begin, I want to show you two rows that I already inserted into our database. The first one has first name of John and gender is male. The second one is Anna and she is a female. Now we want to create our new post route. First of all, we want to use something called body parser. Body parser will help us to convert the request we receive from the user, and will make it as a JSON, and it will be much easier to use it in our code. So I imported something called body parser from the body parser package. I already installed it, npm install body parser, and we have it here in the package.json file. After we install it, I want to use it as a middleware. As you can see here on line 5, app use body parser and take it as a JSON. Now let's create our app post method. We'll name this route with the query. This is the URL name. And now we want to create the query function. So let's add something called query.js. Here in query.js, first of all, I want to import the getSequelize function that we defined before. So I'm going to take from initdb the getSequelize, as you can see here. Let's get Sequelize, that is going to be getSequelize when I'm running this function, and query is going to be a function that starts with a request response and is going to do the Sequelize query. We want to do the query itself, and first we need to fetch the relevant attributes. We are going to fetch first name from the user. The first name is going to appear inside the body part of the request, first name, and this is going to be from the request. Let's define it. And after we have our first name, we want to do the query itself. We'll take Sequelize and we are going to create a query. The query is going to be in raw SQL. Select everything from users table, where, let's make it capital, where users first name is going to be equal Now I want to insert this first name value. So if I want to insert a value inside the string, I need to use this instead of the regular that I've already used. I need to use the $sign, and I want to parse it here. We need it like this. So now I'm going, after I fetch the first name from the request, I'm going to use the query syntax, select everything from users, where users first name is going to be what we received from the user. This function is going to have two things. It's going to return me results and metadata. We are not going to use the metadata, but it's good to know that you have metadata from this query. After that, I want to return to the user the results that we fetched. So I'm going to use REST JSON, where I want to use to return the results as a JSON, and I'm going to return the results. Now let's beautify the file. That looks nice. Now I want to run our server. npm start. Okay, we have an error. Please install PG package manually. Okay, we are using Postgres as we described before, so I need to install this one. Okay, this is what we need to install. So let's cancel it. Clear. Let's install. That's great. Let's use npm start. That is going to start our server with Nodeman. And now you can see that we connected to the database. It already executed a few things because we are using inside our index, inside our initdb, I'm sorry, we are using alter true, so it makes sure that our structure in the database is familiar with this one, and where Env server is running. Now I want to run a post request. Okay, this is the other things. I want to run post request that is going to send first name as John. We are going to send it to port 3005 with the query. Now let's send it. Okay, it doesn't work. Why it doesn't work? Let's see, the port is 307. So let's send it to 307, as you can see here. Send it. Great. Cannot post query. Okay, let's see what happened. Okay, it says, I feel like it didn't receive the post query over here. Oh, I understand why it didn't receive. We need to export the query. Exports query. And here we want to import it. Const query. Query is going to be taken from the query. Great. 1 second. Query. So what was the mistake? Oh, it is only Okay, great. We forgot the async here. And now, what was the mistake? Here we didn't enter the handler for the post query. So I imported it and use it. And after that, I used the async word in order to use the await syntax. So now I'll save it again, and we see that server is running. Let's try again. Okay, something failed. Why did it fail? Let's see. As you can see here, I didn't receive anything. Didn't receive anything. I'm trying to understand why. Great. Now it's working. Now I send the first name John, and what is executed is select everything from users where user first name is John. Great. Now we are going to use this platform in order to show you how SQL injections work.